So it's the middle of February, and we have a lot of mango flowers. I've gotten pictures from a few people around the state of Florida, and it seems that a lot of our flowers are behind theirs, but of course last year they didn't have very many fruits, so I think that their trees were ready to flower earlier than ours were. But since we do have so many flowers emerging, we thought we would do like a mini walkabout for flowers. And so today we're going to go through the northeast section of the grove and just to look at the flowers. So this tree right here has a few different varieties on it. This part here is St. Maui. Just a few flowers right now for St. Maui. But over here is Saitong, and Saitong is definitely making more of a spectacle of itself. Next tree up is Carrie, and also lots of flowers emerging on that. They're not quite open yet. Then we have Duncan. And so far this is sort of the most spectacular. This is Namdok Mai number 4. So here's Pineapple Pleasure. In some areas it's sort of hard to see the leaves on this. It's just a lot of flowers. Unfortunately, last year we had a lot of flowers but not fruit, and that was because it got hit with powdery mildew. Right now I think it's fairly promising because it seems like we're past the risk of cold weather, so hopefully this actually holds some of the fruit that it's going to produce. And then we have another rather spectacular one. This is Rosa. And Rosa was sort of late to flower this year. A lot of times it's much earlier to flower. You see there's like one fruit and a few small fruit from earlier blooms, but this current bloom is looking pretty darn successful. Lots of little fruit set in this area. And here's one of our turpentine trees. Just tons of flowers there too. And this is Valkyrie. And this right here is one of our lemon meringue trees. Just a little bit of flowers so far on that one. And speaking of lemon meringue, we've got this a little bit older one, and we've got a fair number of flowers for the amount of foliage it was. This one got cut back pretty severely last season, so doesn't have as much in the way of branch tips to fruit on. Then we get into Beverly here. And Beverly, of course, is a late season fruit. And so we have pretty good amount of bloom on that also. It's another carry tree. This is Sweet Tart. Here's a tree that used to be completely Van Dyke, and I have top worked this section of tree here to creme brulee. So The good news is, first time that we might have some creme brulee fruit. And then we also have, this is Van Dyke flowers right there. We have another Duncan tree here. We've got the bloom in this area. Right over here, I have top worked a small area to Super Alfonso. I was hoping for some fruit this year, but it doesn't look like we are going to get Super Alfonso this year. Still might be possible, but I'm not banking on it. And here we have a tree that is half Venus and half Zill mango. So this is a Venus bloom here. And over here is Zill. So we'll have some, hopefully, of both varieties. This is a Glen tree. Got a fair amount of bloom on it right now. Not all of it was blooming. Another Glen. And then here's Edward. Put Edward among the Glens, and Edward has just been spectacular this year. Some of the flowers, of course, are old and are sort of dropping off, but we have young fruit where once there were flowers. This, of course, it's not going to hold all 4 fruit there, but we have, you know, lots of fruit set already. This is another Glen tree. And this is our biggest dot tree. And it had a lot of bloom and seeing some fruit set, especially near the top of the tree. Here's another Beverly. Of course, there's lots of bloom. But the reason we have 2 trees here is that we had Hurricane Wilma really cream this original tree, and Hart thought it would be a good idea to have an insurance policy. So we planted a small Beverly there. So we have 2 Beverly trees just in case that first one didn't make it. And this is Southern Blush. So hopefully we'll get some nice fruit there, but then this lower branch here is actually Sugarloaf. Been trying to grow Sugarloaf and, you know, hoping we get fruit this year. You know, it's a great variety, but, you know, I had to get it started in the grove, so I thought that the Southern Blush could like share some of its resources to, you know, grow out this Sugarloaf. This tree used to be a lot bigger. This is Cushman. It likes to get big. And I used sort of the same situation, same strategy on this tree. Look at these big cuts here. Doesn't really have much to do with flowering, but this tree had gotten really big. So we cut it back. And then on most of these sprout outs from that area, I grafted Sugarloaf again. So it'd be nice if we had, you know, like a significant amount of fruit this year from that, but we'll just have to see. Cushman, though, is definitely flowering all on its own. Oh, we got a lot of bee action here. This is Pina Colada. Unfortunately, we have only one Pina Colada tree right now. Very popular small fruit. This is a Kent tree, and it's got a lot of bloom, especially on the top. The top is a little bit ahead of the sides. And here's Bombay. Oh, okay, I see exactly 6 panicles right now. So we have a little bit of flowers here and one over here. But we're expecting a lot more from this tree. And speaking of a lot more, here we have Julie. This tree is, let's see, it's 23 years old, and it is always got a lot, it has always a lot of bloom. So here's a lemon meringue tree, and it's got a fair amount of bloom too. Looks a little scraggly, but we'll trim it a little bit more after this next season. And here's Edgar. Yep, Edgar's definitely a bloomin'. Edgar got its name because they thought it was a cross between Edward mango and Gary mango. So it's nice fruit. Here's one of our codsall trees. It's a little bit later for the bloom than some trees, but it will be one of our earlier fruit. Pretty tree, pretty fruit, nice tasting. Here's a fruit that didn't make it. But we have a lot of fruit here, or we have a lot of flowers here. This is one of our Nam Dak Mai trees. And this looks pretty impressive. This is a Zilindo Chinese tree that looked pretty scraggly. It still does. There's a lot of empty parts of branches and such, but the branch tips are very healthy and just crazy bloom panicles there. Here we have Bailey's Marvel. Doesn't look like it's doing much yet. Just have a few flowers here and there on that tree. A few little cluster here, but we're expecting it to have a lot more bloom than this. Here's Pettigrew, and we've got a lot of bloom in certain areas. This side of the tree, the south side, seems to have a lot of bloom. Most of it's pure bloom. Of course, Pettigrew is a late season fruit. Some people think it has a lot of coconut flavor. I often will taste a lot of orange in it. Here's another Kent tree. Not much happening on most of the tree, but here on the north side we have some flowers right there. And here's another Kent tree. So hopefully we'll have some nice Kent fruit this year. And over here we have spectacular bloom. This is a Jakarta tree, and it is just looking gorgeous now. This is a little carry tree. I think that the original tree, whatever it was, don't remember at this point, got killed by one of the hurricanes. So planted Carrie, and it looks like it's going to have a fair amount of fruit, but we'll have to see how much it can support. And this is Graham. And Graham, of course, is related to Julie, bigger fruit, and just looks like a lot of bloom. This is a tree that I top worked to Carrie, and I left a branch of the original variety, which is Keo Savoy. So you can see a big difference in the leaves. That's a huge leaf on the Keo Savoy part, and then the Carrie is pretty much everything else. Got some nice bloom going on. Okay, then next we have a lot of flowers here. This is one of our Pim Sang Mun trees. This can be a rather vigorous variety. So a couple years ago we trimmed this way back, and it's looking very good. Right next door here is its little partner tree, another Pim Sang Mun. And another Cogsall. Same story, lots of flowers. This looks fun. There's just a huge concentration of them right there. This is ice cream. So we've got a lot of nice looking bloom on ice cream. So here's another Namdok Bai tree. Just a lot of flowers. And we get over here, not that many flowers, yet anyway. This is a lemon meringue tree. Guess up in this area, fair amount, but still, the whole tree's not blooming. And this is great. This is Dupuis Saigon, very nice variety, and it looks like we'll have, hopefully, a lot of fruit to sell this year from it. Very nice. Here's another thing. You can tell these leaves look different from the rest of the tree, and that's because they are. This area is peach cobbler, and we're getting some bloom on that. And then the rest of the tree is kit. So got a fair amount of bloom on kit too. This next tree here is kit also. This is kit and only kit though, but yeah, blooms are coming out there. Kit is a late season variety. Palmer is also. Palmer does not have blooms coming out yet though. So we'll have to see how that affects the timing. Oh, we've got just right here, a few Palmer blooms. Okay. Coming into our last row. This is Malika. Bloom, I'd say it's maybe a third of the tree is blooming right now. Here's one of our carry trees. More impressive bloom up top, but the other parts of the tree are catching up. It's another carry, beautiful against the sky. Pretty, pretty bloom. This is our prom chimea tree, and looks like we have a little bit of bloom in the center of the tree and then also on the south side. We expect for the whole tree to bloom eventually, but right now it's just that. This is another Beverly tree. Lots of bloom all over for Beverly. Have a little bit of fruit set here. Then we have this tree is looking gorgeous. This is Neelam. Of course, Neelam's a late season fruit. And it is just quite spectacular. Nice in the morning light for sure. And then next door, our very last tree in this section of the grove is another Malika. And we have some bloom, but a whole lot of the tree that hasn't bloomed yet. So that's a look at the trees in the northeast side of the grove. Just a lot of flowers out there, and we're hoping for a lot of fruit in the season.